Um, BJ, when we think about the first phase, can you talk a little bit about sort of the questions that typically, like, what does the question the interviewer ask that, what does it tell us about what's going on in the interview, particularly sort of maybe some of the follow-up questions when you're answering and they actually ask you the follow-up question?
Yeah, you've got some great answers here, even on the screen. I'll go through those and then add a couple more. But if people are asking what's your part, that's the royal we. You weren't showing your impact, and you're focused too much on the team. And I would say this also plays into that level as well, because say, for example, you were a director of product and you're talking about the strategy, but all the execution was handed off. Did you articulate that in a clear way? Did you say, I tasked my team to do this, or I worked with my team? Or did you just say, we did all these things? Next, how did you measure that? This means that you lacked real outcomes. And this can be a dangerous place to be in. A similar question is, what metrics did you use? Or how are you specifically measuring that? How did you get to that number? A good signal here might be you're using percentages instead of dollars, and now they're questioning you. So that could be a bad place to be in. Or they re-ask the question. This is the worst one. This means that you probably lost the plot. When you were answering it, you might not have directly answered specifically what they wanted. You had a story locked in your mind. We've all been there, and we're like, all right, this is my chance to use it. But then they come back and re-ask it. The how big was it, or some version of what you did. Again, this is going back to that level, and you have to scope it according to the level they're hiring for in the work you did. And in this market, when a lot of those middle management roles are turning into more player coach or even high level ICs, I see a lot of directors really struggling with this one. Another good example of this would be how you frame your task. So most people on this call are probably familiar with the STAR, and you might specifically say, my task was X. Well, if you are a more senior product manager in this case, we want to actually see your ownership. You weren't just handed something, but you actually helped define the problem. So simply changing your language to my hypothesis could be a different way to level as well. And then what did you give up? This is actually good, and there are some good signals that this will help you identify, but around you need to show your judgment and your product thinking, what trade-offs you made and why you made the decisions that you made.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I find when they're probing for numbers is I find that people are often answering in the form of outputs versus outcomes. I went to these meetings, I launched these number of features, I pushed these things out, I completed task. And when I find that the shifting to what was the outcome of this instead of the output, then it's like I did all of these things to drive a result. My team got better, customer retention was better, revenue went up. We our CSAT scores or NPS or whatever. There's some way to say there's something that mattered to the business, because as much as when you're an employee, you show up, you go to work, you get paid for being there. At some point, if they're not actually moving the business, they have to question, like, are we doing the right things? The business needs to actually generate outcomes, not just outputs.